Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain, where today we have the coffee, we have the books, and we have the rain. So, we are doing very well today. We have had a very productive I would say lazy Saturday, but because I didn't have anything going on in the outside world, I was able to focus my energies on things around my apartment and get a couple things taken care of that I wanted to take care of. So we had a pretty good rainstorm come through today. It definitely wasn't as significant as people seem to think it might be, but other places seem to have gotten a much more significant, band of intensity. So we were lucky here in Huntsville, but I have been able to read about 40% of a new book. I finished up most of my Ren Fair costumes, so I'm very proud of that. I figured out my next crochet project. I did do some baking, and I made some English muffins, which turned out phenomenally. And yeah, I decided, you know what, I needed to go ahead and record a couple episodes. I know I'm behind by a day or so on posting, but I'm going to get all of that done and caught up this month of, am I still in February? No, March. Oh gosh. This month of March and the month of April are going to be packed with books. And I think I've got at least I've got 20 books that I plan to try to post about, but I think I'm going to have to let like one or two slip and just be Goodreads reviews, and I may not get them posted on my YouTube channel, but that's okay. I think the ratings are going to be, 3.75 or so, which I would usually round up to a 4, but just simply due to my lack of time, I do think I may go ahead and allow myself to not have 20 episodes this month, but maybe somewhere around 18. But let's dive into the first book today, and it is Quantum Bullsh, A Guide to the Galaxy's Worst Life Hacks by Ferrie. Now, this is nonfiction, and this is probably one of the few nonfictions that you will have heard me speak about here in the recent past. In the recent past. I found it very humorous. If you like to look at scientific things in a humorous, tongue-in-cheek, sarcastic sort of way, then this may be a good book for you. Now, personally, I had a ton of fun with it. I think when it comes to this sort of book, and the way it's delivered, you should expect to just, that the guy or the writer, they know what they're talking about, but they have their own ideas of the way they believe things, the way they think the universe works, which is totally fine, which is totally valid. And I do believe this author has, he does academic research for a living, and he's already written one book that I think was it's like Quantum Bullshit or something like that. But the thing is as I was posting my Goodreads review, I noticed that a lot of people thought that he was trying to persuade you to believe the way he thinks he believes, or he's doing all this talking without citing his sources. And I don't want you to walk into this book thinking that this is the end all be all to understanding the cosmos or things of that nature. It is very, I would almost say, satirical in some ways because of the way it's delivered. Now, I had a great time with it. I got to have a little refresher on things that I have been exposed to in the past, and so it kind of reminded me about various things. We got to explore the cosmos in a way. I do live in a town in Huntsville, Alabama called Rocket City, where NASA is literally just around the corner. So we have our own space station. Not really space station, but they do build some rockets over here. And we have we do have the Rocket Center. So I think the Fantastic Four just recently were here. The newest Fantastic Four with Pedro Pascal and Joseph Quinn were here in Huntsville doing a promo for their new Fantastic Four movie, which I thought was kind of cool. So anyway, let's get back to this particular book and dive into the summary. Your hilarious guide to what's real and what's not in our vast, beautiful, and terrifying universe. Embark on a cosmic journey through Cosmic Bullshit, a guide to galaxy's worst life hacks, and uncover the real science behind some of the greatest lies society loves to tell us. Sorry, just wanted a sip of my coffee. Apologies to everyone who makes major life decision based on their newspaper horoscope, but astrology isn't real, and stars and planets don't give a shit about us. Planning a vacation to Roswell, finally discover the truth about aliens that the government's been hiding? Bad news, aliens were never here and they aren't coming either. Put on your myth-busting goggles and dig into Cosmic Bullshit for a nice healthy dose of fascinating facts to cure the misinformation sickness so many of us are suffering from. Quantum physicist and best-selling science author Chris Ferrie. Why creation myths are bullshit and why humans all have loved them for millennia. The misconceptions surrounding extraterrestrial life and why little green men aren't knocking on our door. Spoiler, it's not because they're shy. The paradoxes and pitfalls of time travel. How to brace yourself for the ultimate cosmic finale as we contemplate the fate of the universe, and much more. With Cosmic Bullshit, you'll laugh, you'll learn, and you'll never look at the universe the same way again. So buckle up, fellow space travelers, and prepare to have your minds blown by the weirdest, wildest, and most wonderful aspects of the cosmos. So, I will tell you first, like right off the bat, I am a reader of all things, and I cannot say I've dabbled in astrology because I really just don't understand that sort of thing. But do I frequently read my horoscope and just see what sort of week I'm going to have? Yeah, sometimes. Do I believe it wholeheartedly that it's going to be 100% accurate? No, absolutely not. I do it for entertainment purposes. I do it because sometimes it's nice to just read it. Hopefully, I mean, of course, as Chris Ferrie says in the book, astrology especially is so vague it can apply to anybody. And I think that's the whole point of it, though, in a lot of ways as well. He does dive into the realm of the creation myths, so to speak, and he talks about a lot of different cultures and what their varying ideas were or are of the creation myth. And I find it very interesting as well. Now, I did see, because again, I did write my review already for this particular book, but this is the kind of scientific book that you can tell the author has the knowledge. And you can tell he's biased in certain ways. But my biggest thought for this kind of book is not that he's trying to persuade me 100% to just give up on astrology and throw it out the door. And no, I mean, I think in more terms than anything else, he's offering a different perspective. Are there people who probably read their horoscope daily to ensure that they're not going to fall out of a window and whatever? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. But I think what Chris Ferrie, in my personal opinion, is trying to say is that he's just giving us his perspective on the way he feels life works or the cosmos work. He talks about why he thinks astrology is so vague, and one of it is, just based, if we're basing it on star patterns and star positions and all this sort of stuff, well, if we zoom out big picture style in his particular thoughts, some of those stars are not even anywhere close to each other to really make any sort of impact on us. Just because maybe we see a Taurus does not mean people in ancient times saw a Taurus, or if we saw it from a different perspective, we would even see that Taurus shape. And so I think that's where he's trying to just be relative to what astrology is trying to say is, whereas astrology is more like your sun sign and your moon sign and when you were born and the stars themselves are we are so minuscule, we are smaller than a mote of dust to those stars in the sky, that there's very little chance for them to be able to do much in influencing that life or have any sort of level of predictability. I like the idea of the what if. I like imagination. I like pretending. That is just, I think that's why I read so many books, to enter into all of these different lives, these different perspectives, and to experience those things from those different perspectives. So, whereas I saw quite a few people maybe a little bit more miffed with the way this was delivered in what they thought was maybe unscientific thinking, or they thought were like undermedicated. One person, he literally wrote undermedicated neurodivergent. Logan Kedzie wrote that. He said that's where it feels more like this person wrote it. I've known a couple scientists, and the way they're thinking is not incredibly linear. And so, listening to this book, because I did have the audio narration, it felt like talking to one of my friends. Yes, it's all over the place in a lot of different ways. He kind of gets to a point, kind of comes back, gets to another point, and it does kind of ebb and flow a little bit. So we go from like creation myth to evolution to then the stars and astrology and astronomy and all this sort of stuff. So we do kind of take this wandering, meandering journey. But I found it enjoyable. I found it pretty funny. Again, I didn't take it too seriously, but yet I still feel like I learned a few things, whether it be some of the different creation myths from around the world, or just in general, a better understanding of Darwin's evolution theory. Whereas he doesn't think that we're like, or maybe he did think we were like descended from apes, but the general theory now is that we're just all on different branches of the tree and they're more like cousins. I don't know. It's just, the thought process behind the book, I thought, was both humorously delivered and engaging from my perspective. I had a good time with it. Will I dive into Quantum Bullshit, which is technically the one before this one? Maybe. Like I said, it was only about a 7-hour book, 6.5 maybe, and I do listen to it just a little bit sped up, like at a 1.25. So it doesn't usually take me that full amount of time, but I just think it was an intriguing, interesting read. If you don't want to put this into a nonfiction category, then fine. You don't have to. You can put it into fiction category. You can put it into magical realism, magical thinking, whatever you would like to put it into. But the thing is I thought it did. I think the only part that I thought was absolutely silly and probably we could have done without was when he's kind of speaking in this funny little voice about this like ceiling cat who has light. And then it was. It's kind of like he took the creation story for him, and then God said, like, let there be light, and it was, or something like that. But instead, he tells this different version of the creation story, which is narrated by like the Instagram cat, or I just picture the little Nyan toaster rainbow cat, and I thought that was probably the silliest, probably most ridiculous part. Now, was there also a part where he said, cue the Lion King music? Yes. And I think he did that twice that I can remember just right off the top of my head. But I thought it was hilarious, and I really, on the second time he did it, I wanted to pick up my tiny little Yorkie and just be like, Lion King. But it was like, and the circle continues is what he kind of referenced. So... Again, with all of that being said, if you decide you want to pick up this book, please walk into it with a humorous mindset. Sometimes the jokes are not going to land perfectly. I think he is humorous, but does he also kind of maybe push that envelope just a little that it's kind of distracting? Maybe yes, that too. I truly think this guy would be fun to be around. but also probably wants to be the center of attention sometimes, but that's okay too. I absolutely cannot fault it, but the book is kind of funny. I really, really do think it's a really good one. And for someone who may not know anything about the cosmos, or maybe only just dabbles in it, or just likes to be entertained, go for it. Pick it up. See what you think. If you don't want to read books by so many of the other scientists that are available out there, and maybe they just aren't delivered in a way that resonates well with you, maybe humor is a way to go. Who knows? But I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, for liking and subscribing, and if you haven't already, I hope you will. Sorry, dry spot. But I do hope you will. And I want to thank you for joining me on this journey. I will see you guys on the next page. Have a great one.